remnant of blood unshed. Venice demands aid to be sent. After having long awaited it, first call of trumpets, city handed over. France undertaking a journey because of death. Fleet by sea, marching over the Pyrenees. Spain in trouble, military people marching. Some of the greatest ladies carried into France. Of Arras and Bruges, of broad, great banners, a great number of Gascons fighting on foot, those along the Rhone spilling Spanish blood, near the mountain where Sagunto sits. The angry, powerless prince groaning and quarreling. French and African troops raping and pillaging. Great it is by land, infinite sails by sea. Italy safe, Celts chaste. Cross, peace, under one the divine word accomplished. Spain and France united together. Disaster approaches, combat very bitter. No heart so bold as not to tremble. Of new clothes after the discovery made, malicious plotting and machination. Who proves it dies first. Colored Venetian trap. The younger son of the great and hated prince, age 20, greatly marked by leprosy. His grieving mother dies sad and emaciated, dying. His loose flesh falls off. The great city is surprised at night by prompt and sudden assault, the guards beaten. The guards and watch of St. Quentin, guards massacred, and the gates broken. An arrow shot to the thighs. The chief of the camp is wounded in the middle of the crowd. Geneva in tears and distress, betrayed by Lausanne and the Swiss. The young prince accused falsely, plunging the army into quarrels and trouble. The chief murdered for his support. Scepter appeases, then cures scrofula. He who has the government of the great cope is prevailed upon to commit crime. 12 red ones soil the cloth. Under murder, murder is perpetrated. Greater army put to flight, pursued scarcely further. Expeditionary force reassembling, legion reducing, completely chased out of France. News reporting a great loss. The report astonishes the army. Troops unite against revolters. The double phalange abandons the great one. The sudden death of the premier puts another in the reign. Soon come high and of young age, necessary to fear him on land and sea. From whence thinking famine comes, from there comes replenishment. The eye of the sea through canine avarice, or the other gives oil and wheat. The city of liberty is made to serve, made asylum for wretches and refugees. The king changed to them, and not so violent. From 100, becoming more than 1,000. Changes at Beaune, Nuit, Chalon, and Dijon. The Duke wishes to improve the Barrois, marching near the river. Fish, beak of diving bird. The tail seen. Door is closed. The most literate in the celestial arts, by ignorant princes reproved, punished by proclamation, chased as wicked, to death where they be found. The insurbians lay siege before Rouen, shutting off the land and sea passages. Those of Hainaut, Flanders, Gand, and Liège, through gifted wine, ravish the shores. Peace and plenty, a long time praised. Throughout his reign, serving the fleur-de-lis. Bodies dead by water, floating on land, vainly waiting to be buried. The change will be very difficult. The city and province will gain by this change. High heart, prudence established, the cunning one expelled. Sea, land, people will change their state. A great army decommissioned in a moment, wanted by the king. The promised faith from afar broken, left naked in pitiful disarray. The legion in the maritime fleet burns lime, brimstone, and pitch. Secure place of long rest. Fire consumes Port Céline and Monaco. Beneath holy ground, the faint saintly voice, human flame, seen to shine as divine. The impure ones destroy the churches. Thus the blood of monks stains the earth. celestial bodies forever visible to the eye become obscured for these reasons. Body, forehead together. Meaning becomes invisible as the sacred prayers diminish. A great swarm of bees rises. From whence they came, no one knows. The sentinel under the vines, ambush at night. City betrayed by 5 tongues not naked. Salon, Mosole, Tarascon of the Arch of Sex, where the pyramid still stands. They come to deliver the Prince of Anamark. Redemption violated in the temple of Artemis. Venus covered by the sun. Under its splendor, an occult form arises. Mercury reveals them to the fire. By warlike din put to doom. Sun hidden, eclipsed by Mercury, put second in the heavens. Hermes made as fodder to Vulcan. Sun seen pure, blazing red and gold. "11 more times the earth shuns the moon. All increase and decrease in degrees. Put so low that little gold spun. After famine and pestilence, the secret revealed." The moon full by night over the high mountains. The new sage's mind alone can see, summoning his disciples to become immortal. Eyes south, hands crossed upon the chest, body aflame. In times and places, meat to fish gives place. The common law is made against it. Old, hold strong, then cast them aside. Common ownership put far behind. Jupiter joined more to Venus than to the moon, appearing of white fullness. Venus hidden under the whiteness of Neptune. Mars stricken by the stippled branch. The Great One led captive from a foreign land, gold enchained offered to King Shiren, who in Ausonia, Milan loses the war. All his army put to fire and sword. The fire extinguished, the virgins betray the greater part of the sect so new. Lightning, fire, lances, kings alone guard. Tuscany and Corsica, their throats cut. Victory in the Insubrian campaign. New games set up again in France. Western mountains, great ones tied and bound. Rome and Spain trembling in fear. The French attack and penetrate the mountains, occupying the great place of Insurberia. His army penetrating the very depths. The Red Fleet pushed back at Genoa and Monaco. The Duke busies the King and Queen. Captured Byzantine chief in Samothrace. One the other consumes before the assault. Blunt sword follows the trail of blood. Rhodes demands relief, neglectfully abandoned by their heirs. The Arab Empire turns back its course. By Westerners, its course restored. Besieged fortresses shut up. By explosives sunk into the abyss. Traitors entombed alive. Never was the priesthood split more regrettably. Female sex captive as hostage comes by night to deceive her guards. Army commander misled by what she says. Left to the male sex. Pitiful to see. Geneva, Langres by those of Chartres and Dole, through Grenoble, all captured at Montélimar, Seisel, Lausanne by fraudulent deceit, betrayed for 60 marks of gold. The sound of arms clashing in the sky. In the same year, enemies are the religious ones, unjustly debating holy laws. By war and lightning, many believers die. The week bodes ill for the two leaders of Mende, Rodez, Milhaud, Cahors, Limoges, and Castres. An apostate from Bordeaux, a night raid through Périgord at the alarm bell. Through conflict, king abandons realm, failed in time of need by the great commander. Dead, ruined, few escape. All cut apart, one witness to it all. Thy excellent deed well defended. Guard yourself, Tours, your ruin is near. London and Nantes through Reims make defense. Do not pass further in the time of the mists. The savage Black One exercises his bloody hand. By fire, sword, and bow, all the people terrified, seeing the greatest ones hanging by neck and feet. So many gadflies and locusts produced on the vast fertile Ausonian plain, that the sunlight is darkened, everything devoured, upon them great pestilence. Bloodshed before the people, not from heaven high averted, but for a long time not understood. The intelligence of one alone will prove. Libra sees the west reign, holding dominion over earth and sky. No one sees the destruction of the Asian forces until 7 in succession have held the hierarchy. A duke, eager to pursue his enemy, enters within, impeding the phalanx, hastened on foot, pursuing so closely that the day of battle is near Ganges. In the besieged city, men and women to the walls, enemies outside, the chief ready to surrender. Wind strongly against the gendarme, driven away by lime, dust, and ashes. The fugitives and exiles recalled, fathers and sons, great garrison, the deep wells, the cruel father and his own suffocated, his most wicked son drowned in the well. Of the name no French king ever bore, never so fearful a lightning bolt. Italy, Spain, and England tremble, or foreign women greatly attentive. When the crow upon the brick-made tower caws for 7 hours, death is foretold, statue stained with blood, tyrant killed, to the gods people pray. After the victory of the raving tongue, the mind attempts tranquility and rest. Throughout the war, the bloody victor rants, roasting the tongue, the flesh, and the bones. Ignorant envy by the king supported, talks of prohibiting the writings. His wife, not wife, tempted by another. More duplicity, too not strong rumor. Burning sun in the throat stuck. Tuscan land watered with human blood. Last cherished pail of water leads his son away. Captive lady taken into Turkish lands. Beset by burning heat, thirst to quench for 2 full cups, the fort stripped and the old one rambling, shows the way to Nira. Seven children, left in hostage. The third kills his child. By the rapier, two pierced by his son. Genoa, Florence, then disorder comes. The old one, mocked and deprived of his place by the foreigner that suborns him. Hands of his prince eaten before him. Brother at Chartres, Orléans, Rouen, betrayed. Ambitious colonel devising plot, seizing for himself the greater army, against his prince deceptive invention, and discovered under branches. The Celtic army against the Highlanders are found and captured at supper. Peasants push and grind the grape presses, all crushed by the line of swords. The defaulter in bourgeois clothes with his offense comes to try the king. 15 soldiers, for the most part mercenaries. Last life, an end of his fortune. The deserter of the great fortress abandons his post. His adversary makes an explosive action. The emperor, soon to die, will be condemned. Under the disguise of 6 shaven heads are malicious spies dispersed to sprinkle fountains and wells with poison. In the fort of Genoa, devourers of men. The year that Saturn and Mars equally burn, the air very dry, a long trajectory. By hidden fires, a great place blazes from scorching heat. Little rain, hot winds, incursions and wars. Soon the year not far from Venus, the 2 greatest ones of Asia and of Africa, they say, have come from the Rhine and Hister. Cries, tears at Malta and Ligurian coasts. The exiles hold the great city. The citizens dead, dying and driven out. To Parma, those of Aquileia promise to show them the entrance to the paths untracked. Near the great Pyrenean mountains, one directing a great army against the eagle, veins opened, forces exterminated, pursuing their chief as far as Po. In place of the bride, the daughters killed. Murder most wicked, none survive. Within the well, virgins drowned, the bride killed by drink of aconite. The atomics through Agen and Lectoure at Saint Felix hold their parliament. Those of Bazas come at a bad hour, promptly seizing Condom and Marsan. The great nephew, by force to prove the treaty made by cowardly heart, the Duke puts Ferrara and Asti to the test during an evening pantomime. Those of Mâcon and Lake Geneva, all assembled against those of Aquitaine, many Germans, many more Swiss, are routed with those of Maine. Readying to fight, one deserts. Victorious is the chief adversary. The rear guard makes defense. Those failing die in the White Country. The people of Agen, by those of Périgord, vexed, hold as far as the Rhône. The Gascon and Bigorre alliance betrays the temple, the priest giving his sermon. Céline, monarch, Italy at peace, realms united by Christian king of the world. When he dies, Blois takes his repos, after having driven the pirates from the sea. The great army of the civil strife, at Parma by night, the foreigner found. Murder 79 in the town. All foreigners given to the sword. Royal blood flees Montheur, Masse, Aquilon, the lands filled with Bordelais, Navarre, Bigorre, points and spurs. Profound the hunger. Acorns of cork oak devour. Near the great river, a vast conduit feeds the earth. In 15 parts the water is divided. The city taken. Fire, blood, cries, conflict given. The greatest part concerns the Colosseum. To bear the army of the great Belgian prince, a pontoon bridge is hastily made, in deep and not far from Bruxelles. Of those across, 7 hacked to pieces by pikes. A throng approaches from Slavonia, the old destroyer ruining the city. He sees his Roman Empire very desolate, then unable to quench the great flames. In night combat, the valiant captain, overcome by few and conquered, flees. His people stirred up, rebellion not in vain. His own son besieges him. The great one of Auxerre dies miserably, driven out by those who had been under him. Clasped in chains at crude cable's end, in the year Mars, Venus, and the Sun are in conjunction with summer. the white pestilence, followed by the black one. Made prisoner, carried on an execution cart. Moor, camel, knowing its feet to tarry. The younger son, hawk's eyes bulge. In this year, Saturn conjoined with Aquarius. With the Sun, the king strong and powerful. Received and anointed at Reims and Aix. After conquests, murders the innocent. The son of a king much learned in languages, different from his elder in the realm. His father-in-law understands the greater son, makes perish his principal adherent. The great Antoine, by name of sordid act, of Tyriasis, is eaten to the bone. One that is even covetous of late. Passing the port, he is pierced by the elected one. 30 of London secretly conspiring against their king. His supporters' distaste of death. A fair king elected, a Frieslander. The two armies are unable to unite at the walls. Instantly, Milan and Tessin tremble. Hunger, thirst, doubt, strongly piercing them. Not a single morsel of meat, bread, or victuals. The Gallic Duke, compelled to fight a duel. The ship of Melilla does not approach Monaco. Wrongly accused, perpetual confinement. His son strives to rule before his death. The valiant captain's head cut off, thrown before his adversary. His body hung upon the fleet's antenna. Confused, they row against the wind. Nearby the royal bed, a serpent seen by a lady at night. The dogs do not bark. Then, born in France, a prince so royal, heaven sent, all the princes see. Two brothers driven out of Spain beneath the Pyrenees, the eldest defeated, the sea reddens. Rhône, Le Mans, blooded. From Germany, Narbonne, Béziers, contaminated. The two left, the realm not long hold. 3 years, 7 months passed, make war. The two vassals rebel against them. The younger, the victor in Harmonique. The elder sister of the British Isle, born 15 years before her brother, by her promise depends verification, succeeds to the kingdom of balance. The year Mercury, Mars, Venus retrograde. The line of the great monarch does not fail. Elected by Portuguese near Cadiz, one to great age in peace and power. The Albanians pass through Rome by means of Langres, mob disguised. Marquis and Duke spare no one. Fire, blood, smallpox, drought, crop failures. The valiant son of the king's eldest daughter beats the Celts back so far that he casts thunderbolts, so many in such array, near and far, then deep into the west. Fire from the sky onto the royal building. When the luminosity of Mars dims, 7 months' great war, people killed by evil spell. Rouen, Evreux, the king not fail.